Hello, welcome to your practice. I'm Annie, and today I'm going to guide you through a short, beginner-friendly yoga practice. So if this is the first time on your mat, welcome. If it's not the first time, welcome back. I'm going to encourage you to use a couple of props today. Now, don't worry if you don't have these specific things in your house. You can grab something that will look and feel a little bit like these. So I've got one block under my hips. I've got another block here, having two is handy if possible. And then also a strap. So this could be a belt or even a towel. It's just useful to have them close by, even if you don't end up using them. This whole practice is going to be done kind of seated and on our hands and knees. So we won't be doing anything where we're standing up today. But the first thing that I would love to do is to join together in a seated pose. So perhaps placing something underneath your hips so that you can just adjust the tilt of the pelvis and allow the spine to straighten. So most of us spend a lot of time hunched over. If we have the support underneath the hips, we can bring an opening to that space and allow the spine to stack. It's a gentle drawing of the chin towards your throat. So not lifting or lowering the chin, but drawing it in. Then you might notice that that brings an opening to the back of the neck. Now we're focusing mainly on asana, the physical element of our practice in our class today. But with yoga, the difference between this being kind of a stretching movement practice and yoga, a devotional practice, is the intention that we bring into this time. So join me in placing the hands together at the heart and allow the eyes to close, or just let the gaze drop down the tip of your nose. And set an intention with me here to be open. To open ourselves up to this experience, whatever it may bring, without judgment. And that judgment is something that we might find comes up a lot, especially when we're doing something new. And so we'll join together in this practice of noticing when that judgment arises and working to let it release. And what we cultivate here on the mat is incredibly powerful in informing the way that we show up off the mat. So perhaps as we cultivate non-judgment here together, it allows us to step forwards into the day ahead of us with that same quality, that same intention. Let's take a deep breath in. And a big sigh. And then gently let the hands rest on the front of the body. You can blink the eyes open, but keep the gaze soft. So placing one hand to the heart and one to the belly. And as you breathe in, just feel where the in-breath touches the hands. So are you breathing just into the chest, or does the breath expand the belly into the palm of the hand? And then as you exhale, can you feel the hand or hands softening back in towards your midline? So breathing, just a simple breath, ideally in and out through the nose. But if the nose is blocked, you can breathe through the mouth. Just make sure that you're breathing in a way that allows the mind to start anchoring, focusing on the breath. And maybe you bring a gentle deepening to the breath, or an evenness to the breath. So the length and the strength of the inhale starts to match the length and the strength of the exhale. And it's this breath and our intention which guides us. We never go to the point where we lose the breath, or if we notice that we have lost the connection to that even breath, then perhaps we've gone too far. Let's use that breath now. As you inhale, take the arms up over your head And exhale, bringing the hands through the midline of the body, just bringing them to the heart. A little reminder of that intention. And then let's place the hands in front of the knees on the mat. So we're going to bring ourselves onto all fours. If you've got your blocks, you can place them at the top end of the mat. So the hands and the feet are touching the ground, as are the knees. And then between those points of contact, you start to bring a little bit of a bit of lift and levity to the body by activating the muscles. So as you root the hands down, use the upper arm muscles to hug a little bit of weight out of the wrists. A gentle drawing of the navel to the spine. And then as you inhale, slowly roll the shoulders down your back, lift your chest forward and send your tailbone, your sit bones back behind you. Then as you exhale, we're going to round the spine, push the ground away with the hands and look to your belly button. Feel the back of the neck release. Inhaling, looking forwards, shoulders slide down the back of the body. So this is our cat-cow, and it's a really lovely way to start mobilizing the spine. Good. One more like that. And exhale. Good. Now maybe separate the knees a little bit wider. Send your hips towards your heels. We're taking a child's pose. So we walk the hands forward. Now for some of us, the hips will meet the heels. For others, you might want to use a block and place the block underneath your hips. If you don't have a block handy and your hips are lifted, just be mindful that you're not forcing the hips back. Where you start to feel tension in the body, can you send a little bit of breath there? And notice how perhaps the exhale allows you to find a little bit more space. Good. Now from here, lift your hips away from your heels again, press into the palms, tuck the toes. We're going to move to downward facing dog, but keep the knees nice and bent. So feet are around hip width apart, the knees are bent, and then you're going to lift your bottom high, so lifting the hips up, but keep the knees bent. Root down through the hands and hug up through the arms. So you're lifting a little bit of weight out of the wrists. Now for some of us, this can be quite uncomfortable on the wrists. Just be really mindful that you're not hanging out here too long if it doesn't feel good in your body. A really important element of this practice is moving in a way that feels safe in your body. Good. So perhaps you could have a little pedal through the knees, one leg then the other. Or maybe you use this moment to be still and focus on the breath. So remember, the breath is an anchor for the mind. So if the mind is busy or starts to throw judgmental thoughts up in a particular shape or a particular moment, come back to your breath and find that single point of focus. Beautiful. Bring the knees down onto the floor, coming into that tabletop again. Good. We're going to step the right foot to the outside of the right hand and then just have a little rock forwards and backwards. Now, if the ground feels a long way away, you can place your hands onto blocks and we're just gently rocking forwards and backwards. So you might start to notice a little bit of sensation in the hip or perhaps in the back of the right leg or the lower back. Again, just moving gently with your breath. And maybe start to take outward circles. So using the knee as the kind of point of the arrow as you circle outwards clockwise direction. So an opening of that right hip. Good. And then place the hands to the floor or onto your blocks and move that right knee back. You're going to send it all the way back behind you. Tuck the toes and start rocking forwards and backwards. And then right hand comes underneath the right shoulder. You're going to lift the right heel into the space above it. So that right leg starts to lift up away from the earth. The left hand could come alongside the left ear just as an option. Good. Take a breath in. And then release that hand and the knee down onto the floor. Let's step the left foot to the outside of the left hand and start that rocking forwards and backwards. Remember, You can always use your blocks to bring the ground a little bit closer towards you. There's no rush, there's nowhere that you need to get to. So again, coming into that intention of non-judgment, don't worry about where you are. Just meet yourself where you are. Let that be enough right now. You're good enough, you are enough as you are and where you are. And then maybe we take it into outward circles of the hips, of that left hip rather. And just getting curious about the sensation. Like, what does it feel like to move in this way? Good. And then hands walk in, press down through the palms, send that left leg all the way back, place the toes or the ball of the foot to the floor. Just have a little rock forwards and backwards. Maybe you get a bit of a stretch through the calf, depending on what's going on in your body today. Good. And then lift that left heel so the back leg is straight. Right arm can come alongside the right ear, or you can keep it on the floor if this feels really wobbly. Just think about a gentle toning of the abdomen so you're hugging everything in. Take a breath in and then place that hand and that knee down onto the floor. We're going to walk our hands back towards our knees and then take the feet from underneath us. Extend your left leg forwards and bring the sole of the right foot to the inside of the left leg. We're going to come into a hamstring stretch. Now this is where a strap could be quite handy. If the foot feels a long way away, rather than reaching to grab it, maybe you have your hands either side of the leg, or you use your strap, loop it around the ball of the foot and lift up through your chest. Shoulders moving down the back of the body. Breathe. Nice. We're going to take 3 more breaths here. So finding that even breath. In and out through the nose, letting the inhale and exhale become a good match in both length and strength. Good. And then gently release and swap to the other side. So this is our last shape before we come into relaxation. So we're going to loop around the right foot or reach for the toes if they're in reach. Hug the shoulders down the back, keep the spine long. And lengthen as you fold. No force, nowhere that you need to get to. How does it feel to experience this stretch? Or this shape? Maybe it doesn't feel like a stretch for you. Definitely does for me. One more breath. Good, and then release. Now when we finish our practice, the most important thing is to take a few moments in Shavasana. So we're going to set up for that together, bringing ourselves all the way down to lie on the back of the body. You're going to let your feet rest a little bit wider than the hips, and then the arms rest away from the body with the palms facing up. You want to move any blocks or props out the way so that you can take up plenty of space. And just feel the body against the earth beneath you, the way that the earth supports the body as you release the muscular effort. And just allow yourself to be still and rest for a moment. Let's take a breath in and a big sigh. And just allow yourself a few moments here, letting the impact of your practice integrate through the various layers of the body. And then slowly let the mind come back to your breath as you begin to wiggle the fingers and toes. Maybe stretch the arms up alongside your ears. Perhaps bringing the knees in towards your chest and curling into a little ball. Have a little rock from side to side. And gently falling onto the right side of the body, or the left if there's more space in your practice space for that. And then pressing down into the top hand, bringing yourself all the way up to seated. Try to keep the gaze soft and the sort of fussing as minimal as possible. And we come to sit with a tall spine, just like how we began not so many moments ago. Bringing the hands to touch at the heart center and coming back into the heart space from where we placed our intention at the beginning of our practice together. To be in the practice of non-judgment, not just here as we approach this practice, but as we step off the mat into the day or the rest of the day ahead of us. We carry, embody that quality of non-judgment with us. Thank you so much for being here and practicing with me. Have a beautiful day.